So sorry, I didn't record the first part, but all I'm doing right now is I'm realizing that my JavaScript file, or my home.ejs file, has a script tag that actually has a ton of stuff in it. And so to make this whole process easier, I'm going to move all of it into an external JavaScript file. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this so I can walk through the whole process, is I'm going to create a new folder, a new directory in the views called JS. And then in that JS folder, I'm going to create a new file called Firebase and then capital Auth.js. And I'm going to move everything inside my script tag into that Firebase Auth.js file. And then I'm going to source it like this, src equals Firebase Auth.js. And don't forget to put the JS in front of it, JS/. Now the reason we can do this is because it's inside the views directory. So it says views, and everything the user can see and interact with is inside the views directory. So we can reference it straight from the views directory and say JS/Firebase Auth.js. And that should work. Cool. Now paste everything inside the Firebase Auth.js file. And it's just like as if we had it directly inside that script tag. So this makes our life a little easier. It's the exact same thing. We're creating a checked if logged in function, which I don't think is correct yet. And I'm going to give all of this to you on Slack. So don't worry. We're actually going to get rid of a lot of it and update it entirely. Just as a heads up. But I wanted to show you kind of how I start thinking about this whole process. So once this has happened, once we have everything set up, and by the way, after we sign in with Google, we should always make sure to run our check if logged in function every time so that it updates our DOM with the correct buttons. And if I save this and refresh, let's just make sure it still works the same way we want it to. Okay. So it sees that I'm signed in because we have a Firebase ID token. And if I click sign out, cool. Those two things in my application tab go away. And the button that says sign in with Google is back. If I click it again, I can sign in again. And it says sign out. Now, if you don't have that, it's because your check if signed in function, check if logged in function right here, doesn't, oh, let me find it. There we go. This check if logged in function, what mine does is I've updated the DOM a little bit. I changed both of the buttons. One of those buttons has an ID of Google sign in. It's the sign in button. And one of the buttons has an ID of sign out. And it's the sign out button. So all we do is that every time one of these auth functions runs, we will check if the person is logged in. And what that check if logged in function does is it says it checks in the local storage for a token, for an item that says Firebase _ ID token. If that exists, it sets my Google pic to the Google photo we stored, and it makes the sign in button display none, visibility hidden. And it makes the sign out button display inline block, visibility visible. Then if that's not true, if there is no local storage.getItem Firebase ID token, it will look for the Google sign in button and it will display it inline block, which means the user is not signed in, so we want to allow them to sign in. Otherwise, and it makes the sign out button display none, visibility hidden. Now this function runs as soon as the file loads, which is cool. And then it also runs at the end of the sign out function and at the end of the sign in function. Either way, unless there's an error, then it does not run. So yeah, you're going to want to make sure that if you want this to work, only if the script tag right here has a source equals JS/Firebase Auth.js. And this is how you can link this JavaScript file directly inside the home.ejs. Now yours might not be working, and that's totally cool. We're going to update all of this right now so that, because it's going to get a lot easier than what we're doing. I've shown you the hard way because the easy way is going to make your life fantastically better. So I want to get you the hard stuff out of the way. Then I'll move into an easier version of it. So I apologize. I got to put you through the pain and suffering. first and then bring you back to the greatness. Prep for prep, that's right. So today we're gonna get this voting app actually working. It's gonna start to run. Everything's gonna come together nicely. It's gonna be awesome. But I just wanted to have you a little run through right here, and all you really need, and I'm gonna paste this entire file, this home.ejs file into Slack, and the firebase.auth file into Slack. So if you wanna just start from where I'm at right now, you can. Cool? Awesome.